Shir Yonagol Mashiach. Yeah?
Yes. Come to where we're recording. Come join.
Fine. So we hyped on the shir. Okay. So we were learning through the laws of Moshiach, starting from Perek Yud Aleph in the Rambam. And we had read through the first two halachas, where he goes through the three rayas from the Torah, how anyone who doesn't accept Mashiach and believe in Mashiach is a denier of the Torah, and he brought the three rayas. We didn't exhaust the topic, or perhaps even begin the topic properly, but in order that we should continue making progress, we're going to read one more halacha, and then we're going to go back, the inyan which is negeh, to side the halacha we're about to read, and the first two halachas. So the Rambam continues in halacha gimel, and he says the following. He says, "V'al yalal daitchosh hamelech haMashiach tzarich lasis eisis u'moivsim." It should not enter your mind. It shouldn't even enter your consciousness that Mashiach needs to do eisis u'moivsim, miracles and wonders, u'mechadish dvarim ha'olam, and make new things in the world, or to resurrect the dead. This is not true. Rabbi Akiva was the great leader of his generation. He was the one who went around, literally the arms bearer, and he carried the kelim of Bar Kochva. Over here he calls him Ben Kuziba, Hamelech, the king. And you said about him that he is the king Messiah, he's Mashiach. Him and all the Chacham of his generation believed that he was Mashiach until he was killed due to the sins that the Jewish people did not merit, and so on. The Rambam is going to talk much more about the story of Ben Kuziva and the rayas we have from Ben Kuziva as we go further in the Rambam. And the Rambam says, from when he was killed, they knew that he cannot no longer, that he was definitely not Mashiach. Now what's the raya he's trying to bring from Ben Kuziba? He says, the Chachamim did not request from him. Why did they believe in him? They didn't ask from him any miracles or wonders. Right, so is the Charaya, the Mashiach doesn't have to do any miracles or wonders. Nish das is in Yoni for Mashiach. And then the Rambam very strangely concludes with the following words, this halacha gimel. V'ikar hadvarim kachahim. This is the main nekuda. Ikar hadvarim kachahim. Sha'atayra hazois chukeha u'mishpatah la'olam al'ol me'elamim. The Torah, its statutes and its laws are for all eternity. Ve'in me'sifin aleim ve'in geidim mehem. You cannot add to the Torah and you cannot decrease in the Torah. This is the halacha. So, why, if I would make it, sounds from the Rambam an amazing claim that if I would argue that Mashiach has to do eisis u'meivsim, that if Mashiach has to do mechadish dvarim, has to make a shini in olam, this would be a contradiction to Torah being eternal. If there would be such a demand, if there would be such a need, this would contradict the concept of Torah being eternal and chukah u'mishpatah lo'olam ulal me'olam. The question is, obviously, what is the connection? Ma'akasha between those two things. That's question number one for the day. Question number two. Inyan Klali that we had from the beginning of the Perek till here. The Rambam began with a description of Mashiach. And the Rambam described Mashiach very nicely. He's a king and he's going to return Malchus Beis David and all the law is going to come back. We're going to have the Binyan Beis Hamikdash, Kibbutz Galuyos. In Hilchos Tshuva, the Rambam described Mashiach. And the Rambam clearly said about Mashiach that he's going to be a Navi, Gadol, Kariv LaMoshe Rabbeinu, almost as great as Moshe Rabbeinu. Of course, not as great as Moshe, because the Torah says, like, "Come Navi Eid Bi Yisrael K'Moshe." There will never be a Navi, essentially, like Moshe Rabbeinu, but close to Moshe Rabbeinu. And it says, "Chacham Gadol Yeiser Mishleim HaMelech." Mashiach is smarter than King Solomon, right? In the laws of Mashiach, you would have thought that the Rambam would have thought it fitting to put it in. He should tell you about this, not a word. You hear he's a king. He sounds like a nice guy. He's bringing all the mishpatim. What about the gemeidik milas of who Mashiach is? Maybe it should be a part of the simonim of Mashiach. He describes how to know whether criteria. This came word from a navi. This came word from a chacham gadol yeisim mishleim hamelech. Right? Not a word about it, and it's very surprising.
Mostly he says also what he's not.
What do you mean?
He doesn't do what Moshe even does.
Oh. Fine, he says that they don't expect him to do something crazy. On the contrary, he seems to be almost shayl. What are you expecting? He's saying, you expecting craziness? Al yalal daitcha. Fine. Now, another question which we already addressed in last week's shir But the Rebbe has a whole different approach and a different sikha, which is why in Halacha Beis, the Rambam separate a whole new halacha for his third raya about Mashiach. He says the Arei Miklat, the cities of refuge, it was never fulfilled, the promise of the Torah, that we're going to be able to add another 3 in addition to the original 6 Arei Miklat. We're going to have another 3 in the lands of Eretz Keni, Knizi, V'Kadmoini. So this was never Mekoyim, U'Meil Mashiach's coming. A good raya. Why did Rambam separate a whole new halacha and a whole new inyan? And finally, the question which begs itself is that the Rambam is not a sefer of drush. The Rambam is here to tell you halacha. The Rambam, for some reason, felt it necessary to tell you that the inyan of Mashiach is not only in Nevi'im, Kol HaNevi'im Eleim B'Davar Zeh, that all the prophets and the prophecies are full of this matter about Mashiach. You should know it's biblical, it's in the Torah, it's Alein, Chamishin Chumshei Torah, and if he doesn't believe it, it's a kofer for Torah Mashiach. Fine. So you know what? He's going to start listing as many rayas as he can, ahin, aher. There has to be an inyan in each raya that he's bringing, right? Okay, fair enough. So for some reason he wanted to bring a second raya. He wasn't satisfied with the first raya from Kibbutz Goliath, the one in Parshas Nitzavim. So that I can explain, fine, because over there it doesn't mention anything about Mashiach himself. Right? It just mentions Kibbutz Goliath, Ha'evish is going to gather us in from Eretz Yisrael when we do tshuva. He wants the raya about Mashiach. Fine. Even that's not a stark word. Mashiach, a human being, exactly. Not just the Geula, very good, exactly. Not just the Geula, but an individual called Mashiach who's going to bring Mashiach v'chulu. But first of all, if that was just the kavanah of the Rambam, even that's a little funny, because even on the first pasuk, the Rambam says, HaTorah He'ida Allah on him. It's mashma from the Rambam that we could already know Mashiach from the first one, and the reason is Pasha L'Chayra also, because the Rambam is not denying that we have something called Torah Sheba'al Peh. The Rambam is just trying to say that it's muchach from Torah Shebeksav, that we're still waiting for the Geula. And what are the pratim of that Geula? Right after the first raya, he writes, "Ve'elu hadvarim hamifeirashim b'Torah, heim koilin kol hadvarim shenemra they kol neviim." Right. In other words, this is mefurish elsewhere in Torah Shebeksav, in all the neviim. How exactly it's mekuyim, the framework of these psukim in Parshas Nitzavim, when it describes Kibbutz Goliath, which we know for a fact with all the rayas that it wasn't mekuyim yet. So he says, and Torah Sheba'al, just like we have the gedarim of a mitzvah. Torah says we're tefillin, but what does tefillin mean? Fine. But tefillin is still a mitzvah that's written in the Torah. Mashiach is written in the Torah because the first parsha, talks about Kibbutz Goliath, something which wasn't mekuyim yet, some crazy stuff. It says we're going to be even greater than we ever were, even in the Bayis Yisrishin, v'chulu v'chulu. This wasn't mekuyim. The raya, the pratistic raya that is going on Mashiach. But fine, b'deichak. Even the first raya, the Rambam says HaTorah He'ida Allah and brings the first raya. But you want to say you want to bring a second raya, fine, that's fine. The Rambam brings a second ayah, but Kedarkin, whoever learns Ma'amam every day, the Rambam doesn't start listening to you all the drushim of every last half pasuk in the whole parsha. The Rambam should have said, but in Parshas Bilam, it's Niba about the Shnei HaMashiachim, and if he wants to quote the beginning and the end, he should have said, Erenu v'lei'ata v'goymer, and then end of the last psukim, B'haya yireisha v'goymer, like he does hundreds of times throughout Mishnah Torah. Here the Rambam goes through, he says that in the Parsha of Bilam, it talks about two Mashiachs. Mashiach Harishin and Mashiach Achrin. And then he starts going through all the drushim, how the first half is going on David HaMelech. This is going on Mashiach. And he goes through pasuk after pasuk after pasuk. It seems like a drush, and it's totally not B'derech HaRambam. And it's Take Pilei Ploim, even Pasha B'derech HaPshat. People who learn Rambam, it's Pilei Ploim. Fine. What's the answer to all of this? The truth is, there's one answer for the ganze Nekuda. All questions that we just asked have the same answer. What's the answer? The answer is, what is the gedder of Mashiach? The Rambam wants to teach you, you have to believe in Mashiach, right? But you don't have to just believe. Here's the belief you have to have. Do we just believe that there's going to be a savior who's going to save the Jewish people from their tzaddis, and then we're going to go to Eretz Yisrael? What's the gedder of what you're believing in? Many Yidden, you ask Yidden in the street, and you're from a Yid, what's Mashiach? Everyone's going to tell you something else. Mashiach's candies, Mashiach's trees growing things, Mashiach is a shayfer, Mashiach. Everyone has their own version of it. The sick will be healed. That's very beautiful. Is that Mashiach? What's the gedder of Mashiach? What's the Arfman Gloiber? So the Rambam is teaching, and Be'etzim, it has to do with Hilchos Malachim. There's a reason why the Rambam put the laws of Mashiach in Hilchos Malachim. And there's a reason why the Rambam doesn't mention a word about him being a Navi, and about Mashiach being a Chacham Gadol Yisrael. Why? Because there's nothing to do with what Mashiach's about. We happen to know from Nevuos, we happen to know about Mashiach that he's going to be an unbelievable Navi. We happen to know this. It's not the Gedder of Mashiach. Maybe even after Mashiach comes, later on he'll become this great Navi. In Yanei, we have to understand what's in Yanei from Mashiach. What's the Inyan of Mashiach? So what's the Inyan Mashiach? Inyan Mashiach is a melech. Oh, what's Pshat? Pshat's like this. Ba'atzim, the Torah teaches, famous din, that Rambam brings it down to the Mamish, the beginning of Hilchos Malachim, that Rambam brings that Yidden are commanded like the following. You go into Eretz Yisrael, and you're commanded in 3 mitzvahs. Appoint a king. The king's job now is to annihilate all the enemies of the Jewish people, u'bereisha ma'amalek, lahach zarish ma'amalek, and then to build Binyan Beis Hamikdash. Right? So according to the sequence of going into Eretz Yisrael, and then the first thing you do going into Eretz Yisrael, appointing a king, and then Amalek, and then the Beis Hamikdash. There's many svarim in the Rambam, Sefer Karban, Sefer Avodah, the laws of how to deal with Avodah Zarah, v'chulu v'chulu. The laws of kings should come before a lot of inyanim. The Rambam puts the laws of kings at the end of Gans Mishnah Torah. All 14 books of Mishnah Torah comes. The final book in Mishnah Torah is the laws of kings. What's happens? Because this is this Nakuda. The Rambam wants to say that the shleimus of Torah and mitzvahs, what's the pinnacle of Torah and mitzvahs? Amelech. The one who makes it happen, you have a CEO. Without a CEO, it ain't going to happen the way we want it to happen. The job of a king is to absolutely enforce the Torah, and not just enforce the entire Mishnah Torah, to make sure that give the Yid an opportunity to do so, to completely vanquish and conquer and subdue all enemies of the Jewish people, to provide them the opportunity to live in a framework of Torah and mitzvahs, and all enemies should be vanquished and be serving and helping the Jewish people and whatever needs to be done, and the Yid keep the Torah and mitzvahs to its maximum. That is the job of a king. And who's the one who made this happen historically? David HaMelech. David HaMelech is the first one who brought Shleimus HaTorah VaMitzvah. He brought the entire completion. David HaMelech is the one who, it says, he wiped out all the 7 nations living in Eretz Yisrael once and for all. Finally, after hundreds of years of being in Eretz Yisrael, somebody did what had to be done. Someone ended all the Plishtim used to come in with their raids against Klal Yisrael for hundreds of years with the Shoftim. Ein mo for alamo. He took care of it for over again. Whoever had to be annihilated gets annihilated. Whoever needs to be taken care of. Again, all the kol ha'umay svivav, and like the Torah says, once you deal with all the oiva bisaviv, then you go ahead and you build the Beis Hamikdash. And that's exactly what David HaMelech did. There was a Zaytik Ezach, he couldn't build it because Dam L'Reiv Shafachta, he spilled too much blood, but he was ready for the Beis Hamikdash. He unified the Melucha. He's the first Melech over Sai Yehuda and Sai, over all the Shvatim. Shaul wasn't even the Melech over all the Shvatim. He was the first Melech over Gans Klal Yisrael. He unified it. He was the CEO. He took charge. He was ready to build the Beis Hamikdash. And this is what David HaMelech did. And the Rambam is trying to be Magdid in Yonei for Mashiach. And he opens up the laws of Mashiach. What's the description of Mashiach? He describes HaMelech HaMashiach Osid Lamed Ulahachzir Malchus David Liyashna. He's here to bring back the Malchus David to its old state, L'memshala Harishayna. Skip a few words. He's going to bring it down the way we had it once. The point of Mashiach is to bring back halacha, bring back the vision of Torah, the vision of Hashem for this world. That Hashem, in other words, the whole gedder of Mashiach is that Hashem created the world for a purpose. What's the purpose that Hashem created the world for? Hashem revealed that purpose. It's called Matan Torah. And we didn't believe that Hashem's vision will be realized. That Hashem will take His Torah, and He actually wants it implemented in Olam Hazeh, b'milui, b'shlei mosei, v'chulu v'chulu. And that's the Inyan of Mashiach. That's how he begins with what Mashiach is. And therefore, in the Rambam's Rayas, the first Raya is the Raya that Mashiach is going to come. Also, part of that raya is parts of being able to do the mitzvahs, because without all the Yidden living in Eretz Yisrael, we mentioned in a previous year, you need all of Klal Yisrael, Kol Teshvel, in order to have Shmitin, in order to have Yoivlis, to have many halachas, you need to have that. But then the Rambam goes on to say that where do we have the real shleimus of Torah mitzvahs? With a melech. In Yid of a melech. He has to bring down Dafki a melech. And Nishnar das. You know how in Basad Gan is coming up, Yud Shvat. So the Rebbe always says, Shvi L'Rishon. The fact that you're calling Shvi and Chaviv, and the fact that Shvi means Shvi L'Rishon. The Rambam says, you're a Sheni L'Rishon. Mashiach, the pasuk throughout these pasuk goes back and forth. David Mashiach, David Mashiach, David Mashiach. The Rambam is trying to be Magdid in Yoni for Mashiach. And the Rebbe, in a moment we're going to say what each inyan of the pasuk is, it's a new thing in what Mashiach has, Darf Uftan, Mashiach has to accomplish in the world. But Mashiach is going in the steps of David HaMelech, And in the description later on, he's also going to constantly compare him to David. Right? Hoige b'Torah keDavid Aviv v'chulu v'chulu. But this is what the Rambam is trying to do. Until the point that he's kovish, that he has control over Klal Yisrael, and then he has control even the Ummah Svivav, like the Rambam said in Hilchos Shuvah. And why do we want to rule over the nations and to have all that? Is because Yidden should have the Menuchas HaNefesh to be able to do mitzvahs completely properly the way Hashem desired it. Lasik b'Torah v'mitzvahs kahoigen, and like they say later on in these parakim, Yeh pnuyim b'Torah v'chachmasav le'elem noigas u'mavatel. No one should be a noigas u'mavatel to Klal Yisrael. And based on this understanding, we could see why the Arei Miklat is a separate halacha for itself. A different answer than we gave last time. Right? Last time we were saying because it's the Gres Deraya, it's the biggest Deraya. But here, based on what we're saying right now, it's a whole different word that I've said in a whole different sikha. That because the Arei Miklat, that brings out, why is it a different halacha? That not only the shleimus of kiyum within a mitzvah itself, that we'll be able to do with total menuchas hanefesh and menuchas haguf, and no noigas and bavatel, nishnar das. Pashat Shleimus, Hashem's vision will be completely realized. That we're going to get more within the mitzvah, the Kiyum HaMitzvah Lein. We get a part of the mitzvah that we never even got before, an extra 3 Arei Miklat. Sorry?
Missing 3.
With the missing 3, exactly. Fine. Now, going back to the Halacha Gimel that we started with, the Rebbe's Masber is very verstandig, the Halacha now. The Vart Hazoy. The Rambam says, two inyanim here. Gewaldige inyanim. First of all, what's the test of a Navi? He has to do an ois. That's the halacha in halacha. A guy comes, you don't have to believe every Navi who shows up. You have to test him a Navi. You test a person based on what their criteria, what they were supposed to be accomplishing. The point of a Navi is to tell the future. The point of a Navi is these. Therefore, what's the test of a Navi? The Bechina, you test the person. You want to test someone to be a rabbi. You test them in the halacha is relevant to a rabbinate, right? And the guy, you want to test a Navi. You test him relevant to what he's doing. Moshiach, what are you testing Moshiach? Moshiach is here to bring Torah mitzvahs to the world. His job is to fulfill the vision of Hashem. Therefore, that's not his bechina, that's not his test. You don't test him like that. Ma kesher to his job. That's not what he's tasked with. Maybe someone else has such a task. That's not Mashiach's job in life. But it goes furthermore that Rambam concludes the halacha. Ikar hadvarim kochahem hatoyda hazayis chukau mishpatel la'olam alol me'elamim. The Rambam says, if you say that Mashiach has to do Eisus U'Meivsim, if you suggest that the only way the vision of Hashem could be fulfilled in this world, that could be a Torah world, a world of 630 mitzvahs, that the Torah will become a reality. The only way this could happen is through a shinui, through nisim and eflois, through ma'isis u'ma'ivsim b'chulu v'chulu. The Rambam said it's a stira to nitzchis ha-Torah. Because Torah was given to be into nature, that within this world, Olam Hazeh Gashmi, not the Malachim, in Olam Hazeh Gashmi, that the Yidden should fulfill the Torah mitzvahs and make this world a Dirat B'Tachtoinim. So Zok the Rambam says, Mashiach doesn't have to Eisus U'Meivsim. And he says, and if you suggest that he do, it's a stira Pashat and Nitzchis HaTorah. HaTorah is Chukah U'Mishpatah, they're relevant in every generation, in the 21st century. Every single halach and Shulchan Aruch, every single mitzvah in the Torah is 100% exactly the same, applicable and relevant and true as it was thousands of years ago. That's core to what the Torah is. That's what the Rambam's teaching you in this halacha. And the Rebbe, just to take the word, because the words are very precise, the Rebbe has a ha'ara in the Sikha. This is a Sikha, by the way, in Chelik Yud Ches, Parshas Balak. The Rebbe says that what's the Rambam saying, Batsim? That what's the Geder of Nitzchis HaTorah? The Geder of Nitzchis HaTorah. Why is Mashiach basically one of the Yud Gimel Ikrim? What's the Geder of Nitzchis there? The Rebbe writes, Bazah Halosh, Echad Migdareh of Torah, the Nitzchis is Sheyiyah Zman, there will come a time, Shahatorah v'kiyuma yiyah b'shleimus, that the Torah and its kiyum will be b'shleimus. B'signei nacher, the Rebbe says, Nitzchis u'shleimus ha-Torah, hu loidak be'inyan tzivei ha-boida. The Nitzchis and the Shem is not only that Hashem wants you to do it, that's forever and ever. No. Kiyim gam b'limuda v'kiyuma b'poyel. Hashem wants something from this world, and that's going to be Mekoyim. And Nishna, the Hashem's Tzivu will be Mekoyim. We're learning now in Tanya that the Eibishter wants you not to be Mavatal a single second of Torah, even the Keichas HaNefesh, right? Every koyach, every one of your 613 limbs and organs should be utilized completely Bishlei Musay, without Rega Achas Kol Yamav, nor what the Eibishter wants. is it possible to say what the Eibishter wants from you? Does the Eibishter want or he doesn't want? When the Eibishter says, I want you Yid, to do kach v'kach v'kach, every one of your Ramach Evarim, Tarya, Shagidim, every aspect of you should be completely, totally do with my vision. So it's not only Hashem's commandment is forever. What Hashem wants is going to come true. Don't suggest for a second that Hashem's desire is not. He's going to get his way one way or the highway. Hashem's going to get his desire. If he taki wants what it says in Tanya from you, he's going to get that. And this is a gedder in the shleimus of Torah and the emunah of the nitzchias of Torah, that it's going to be mekuyim bishleimus without any noigas umavatel, and we'll be able to give all that we have every second of the day, completely and totally to Torah and mitzvahs. And the Rambam goes through 4 psukim, Lagabi, comparing back and forth David and thing. And he says, the first one is referring to the individual themselves. Er'enu v'le'ata ze David. Ashurenu v'le'karev ze Moshiach. So this has to do with the Geder of Mashiach. Now, what the Geder of Mashiach is, it doesn't say in this pasuk, but it's comparing, just like David is Mashiach. So that's how the Rambam begins in his description of what Mashiach is. That he says, Hoige b'Torah v'oisik b'mitzvahs ki David Aviv. Right? That his level, that we know that David HaMelech is not just some warrior, chas v'shalom. David HaMelech was the Rosh Sanhedrin. He was the Nasi of the Sanhedrin. He was Dan Klal Yisrael Yeshiv Ba'azara. That's who David HaMelech was. V'oisik b'mitzvahs. His whole point was getting in to do mitzvahs, v'chulu, and himself being oisik b'mitzvahs. So this is who the individual is. This is Mashiach. And even in this pasuk, you see the Maila of Mashiach like Abi David, because David HaMelech at Stam says, Erenu v'layata, he's not now, meaning he'll be soon. Mashiach it says, v'lay karev. In other words, you're going to need a ba'arichis of my sein of Abi Duseinu to arrive at such an individual like Mashiach, who's going to be such a level of who he is. Point number 2. This individual will now go affect Klal Yisrael. Dorach koichav mi Yaakov, a star will shoot forth from Yaakov. V'kom shevet mi Yisrael. It makes mention of the nation, Yaakov and Yisrael, and it talks about being a star over the nation and being a stick over the nation. And again, it's a difference because a koichav represents that you're more distant, you're mereimim, menusa, you're very far away. The Rambam says also describes how the koichavim have deya. They're like Greisa Malachim, they're lower than Malachim, but they have knowledge, but they're much higher than human knowledge. It represents the concept of how removed the king is from the people. But Mashiach is going to be big enough that he's able to be very close also. Whatever, it's a tifa inyan. But Mashiach's going to become shevet mi Yisrael, he's going to be close to the Yidden. Not only is he going to be meraimim, he's going to be a shevet, like a stick, but he's going to be, this is the level of what it says about Mashiach, that he's going to be v'yachiv kol Yisrael. That he's going to be a reidu meishal over Klal Yisrael. He's going to rule over us and dominate us and get us to do the Torah mitzvahs. Then comes the third concept where the Rambam describes Mashiach, v'yilchim milchames Hashem, meaning fighting the goyim, not only getting control over the Yidden, but now making sure that the goyim can't bother the Yidden. That's the next part of the pasuk that says about David HaMelech, that he was mochatz pasi moav, that he pierced the Moabites. But Mashiach, it's even greater. Mashiach is v'karka kol b'nei sheis, that he's going to the karkar. Well, some of Farshim learn like undermine or be mahadis and so on, but the Rambam learns like Targum Onkelos that it means to rule over. He's going to rule over kol b'nei sheis, all the children of sheis. In other words, mankind. He's going to have, and he quotes from a pasuk, u'mashlei miyam ad yam. He's going to rule from ocean to ocean. And then comes the fourth inyan that the Rambam describes later in the halacha, b'yisakin es ha'olam kulei lavid Hashem b'yachad. It's not about domination and force, etc., etc. B'yisakin es ha'olam, to serve Hashem together. That's the fourth thing, and that's the fourth pasuk that Rambam brings. That Mashiach, he describes Mashiach that it's going to be like a Yerusha. And the Rebbe says, like a Yerusha, the word that Rebbe used in Yiddish is anonte eignezach. Yerusha, as opposed to kibush, is that it's a Yerusha. It's mine. It belongs to me. It's my Yerusha. I own it, and it and that's the difference. And that's why it's like. And the Rambam quotes from the pasuk. Rambam quotes about and what's the end of that pasuk? And melucha is beratzin kiblu aleim. Melucha is that they accept willingly and they want to have that thing. The Rebbe has a hara, and he says, why isn't in nirmaz in these psukim anything about the Beis Hamikdash? Look at the kasha. So the Rebbe says, first of all, it could be included in his rulership over Klal Yisrael. His part of ruling Klal Yisrael, building up Klal Yisrael, having a Beis Hamikdash. That's the center of the entire Jewish life, the Sanhedrin, the Beis Hamikdash, the Kohen Gadol, everything you need. And the Rebbe says, Ula Yeshleim, the Rebbe adds that maybe that's why the Rambam writes the Lashon, V'af beparshas Bilam Nemar. Because Bilam is prophesizing about things which are relevant to the Goyim. Right? So the domination over the Goyim, the transformation of the world, the domination of the world. And Al Derech, what the Gemara says in Sanhedrin about Evadia, that the Nevuah about the total destruction of Edom is from the Navi Evadia. And the Gemara says why? Because the famous word that Alter Rebbe brings in Tanya, Mineu be'abul shadi benarge. You use the wood from the forest to chop down the forest, because he himself was a convert from Edom, therefore he was able to conquer. So too here, Bilam is the one who gives the Nevuah about the total control of Moshiach in the world. But so that's why it doesn't discuss the Beis HaMikdash per se. In conclusion, conclude to share with this that even the fact that Mashiach is going to rule the whole world is also part of Shleimus HaTorah VaMitzvah, because we all know from the Rebbe Sheva Mitzvahs B'nei Noach. The Rambam said befedish earlier in the Rambam, Tziva Moshe Rabbeinu Mepi Agvura. Moshe Rabbeinu was commanded from the Almighty, Lachifis Kol B'nei Elam, to force Kol B'nei Elam to keep the Sheva Mitzvahs B'nei Noach. So the idea that Mashiach is going to rule over all 7 billion people in the world is also negea to Shleimus HaTorah VaMitzvah. Hashem's vision for the world will be fulfilled, because not only that the Yidden will keep Taryag mitzvahs, the Goyim have to keep the 7 mitzvahs B'nei Noach. Now over there the lashon is Lachiv Kol B'nei Elam, to force the Goyim. You don't need the Goyim's consent. The Goyim b'peil ma'amah should keep the 7 mitzvahs B'nei Noach. But then the Rebbe says that later on in Hilchos Melachim, the Rambam quotes the job of a king, and he writes that the job of a king is l'harim das ha'emes, to uplift the true religion, u'lemales ha'olam tzedek, to fill up the world with righteousness. And the Rebbe suggests that this is an additional inyan to fill the world up, meaning even the Goyim, with righteousness. In other words, this is the second inyan, not only to force the whole world, but to have them beratzin kibul aleim, that they should accept it and want it. The second inyan, the fourth inyan of the Psukim about David HaMelech and about Moshiach, that they will dominate the Goyim and have the Goyim. But by the fourth pasuk by David, it says that he didn't only vanquish and destroy the Goyim. He says he got them to be the Avadim, his tributes, his subjects. In other words, they sent in taxes, etc. And by Mashiach, of course, it's a higher madrege. But the fourth inyan by Mashiach is v'yisaken es ha'olam kuli. He'll fix the whole world to serve Hashem together, shachem echad, and hopefully we'll be mekuyim very soon.